Welcome back to another Sunday night show, also known as Drinking in the Dark with Frugal Tiger, where we discuss major market news from last week, as well as go over major events for this upcoming week to prepare you for some trading. So I started drinking early. Well, to be honest with you, I recorded this early and then my camera totally fucked up, but that's just my life. This week I've been drinking Apothic Red. I'm already pretty drunk and pretty excited about going into the news for this upcoming week. So grab yourself a drink and let's get started. So the major events for last week, the market actually started to have a bit of a breakout. The S&P broke above 3850 at one point, basically touching it. It sold off a little bit since then, but I'm actually worried that we're gonna break up further. And why am I worried? Well, your boy has liquidated pretty much all of his bank holdings, except for a few things here, a few things there. I sold out of Palantir early like a donkey as it had a massive move. Yeah, things are just ratcheting up really fast, really high. It's like the market is almost it's just relentless. Anyway, that's the big news, and there's a lot of details in the mix, so want to go over all of that. First things first, let's go over one of the big earnings of last week, which was Netflix. I had mentioned this the week before, and Netflix earnings are a huge deal. So with Netflix up almost 17% on Wednesday, it had good news. Let's not even bother going into the news. The bottom line is Netflix was down 10% off of its all-time high before the news being announced, and now it's up 17%. Did not even get a break of selling in the middle of that Wednesday. The tape just moves up in a very strong direction, just like a straight steep curve upward. A lot of buying pressure on Netflix. And it actually did finish the week off pretty strong. Netflix is essentially right now, as of Friday, on Friday it's down a little bit, but it's essentially at an all-time high at $565 a share. So that brief correction that we saw in Netflix where it fell below $500, well, that's all bought now. So your opportunity to get in is gone, and honestly I don't blame you for not wanting to get in. I even said last Sunday if it did break down lower I was going to take the short. If it broke up I was going to take a long. I did take a long on Netflix. Yeah, I did trade it. I made a little bit of money, but nothing too exciting. Anyway, 17% is a huge move on that stock. Let's see if it continues to break out higher. Intel was the other big earnings that I traded. Intel, I actually did my legendary earnings season gamble where I placed the bet before the earnings came out, and I just placed it a bit too early. The stock got goosed up literally before the earnings came out. The stock ran up 6 or 7%. So even though it dropped 10% on earnings, your boy did not make any money. In fact, he lost money. So, I mean, what else do you expect from Frugal Tiger? Frugal Tiger is frugal with his everyday expenses so he can lose money in the markets. Anyway, the news from Netflix wasn't that good. Everyone knows they need a new product, that they're relying on their older products, the demand for them to still be in the market, and they just don't have anything new. If you're going to play the semiconductor space, play AMD or play NVIDIA. Those are the two good names. I stay away from this stock. Even though it's down 10%, I'm not buying it here. I just think their product is garbage right now. And that's the other point I want to make. Wall Street in general right now in the last 10 years has been rewarding growth. It rewards growth even if you make no money. And Intel's not growing. Take a look at Amazon. They really just started making money a year ago, and how long they've been in operations. I was in college like when they were starting to really grow, and they were losing money year after year after year. But the bottom line is they're growing. Their business has expanded. They offer all sorts of services. And Wall Street has always rewarded that. I'm staying away from Intel, and that's why I'm staying away from IBM, which was the next big earnings. That stock dropped 10%. I don't know who the hell wants to invest in that piece of shit company. Invest in growth right now if you're going to invest. Dividend plays right now are not good. AT&T's been stuck in the same place forever, and you got to bet on growth right now. And Wall Street is heavily weighted towards growthier names. Stay away from Intel, stay away from IBM. IBM dropped 10%. I don't even want to go into the reason why it dropped 10%. It deserves to be another 15% lower. AI play. They kept talking about AI play on CNBC with IBM. IBM is turning into a services consulting company. It really, like Watson I mean, that's not even a product right now. I would just avoid these two names. If you want to trade it on a strong tape, or if you want to trade it, just short the names if the tape turns weak. I'm not owning either of these names. The next name I want to talk about is Roku. Roku is still pushing, you guys. Jeez, man. The last time I was very actively trading this name was 150. I actually even missed the move this coming week on Roku. And Roku had basically went this week. It opened around $400. It shot up to about like $440. It is a great name to trade. I am taking trades on Roku. I am not actually buying or owning Roku or pretty much anything for that matter at this point in time. This is really good news in regards to an actual trade. The tape is just super strong with Roku. Sorry, I said news. I'm a little drunk. I didn't mean news. I mean it's a very tradable name still. And if there's one thing I've learned from just watching the tape on Tesla is, you know, don't have an opinion so much on valuation as a trader or anything like that. Definitely don't short a name when the tape is moving this strong. The safest bet is just to join the ride for some time before the inevitable drop does happen. Right now, if you do trade, my only recommendation is to keep it as a day trade because this thing could easily correct. But in the meantime, honestly, you could just wake up and buy this thing, and it's not the worst buy. The tape on this is just relentless. And this brings me to my next point. Why do I go over these names that I always talk about? And why are a lot of these, why even bother mentioning this news? It's old, right? Well, no, typically stocks, if they break out, they'll continue to break out. When stocks move above a certain threshold, different parties get involved, different people who don't even know about the stock become interested in reading about it or understanding what's going on with it. And it just follows like a pattern. So a lot of times if it breaks out above a certain level, it's not the worst time to just jump in and ride it for a few ticks or maybe a few days and try to grab the momentum. And Roku is one of those, but I would still try to time it on an intraday basis, not so much overnight. I would literally be scared of just waking up and it being down 10% one day. But you never know, because people have been saying that with Tesla since it was $200 a share, and 2 stock splits later, it's at $800 a share. So these things can just continue to run. You know, it's just best to be on the side of the market when this happens and not worry too much about valuations. The overall market is breaking out. The S&P did crack 3850 at one point in time in the day throughout the past week. But the one thing I will mention with the S&P is it did have a down day on Friday. When I woke up on Friday, I saw the futures were down about 28, 29 points. And honestly, one of the safest bets that you can make, and I've been doing this myself, is if the market is down, as much as I don't like to own stuff as much overnight, I do feel the market is super frothy right now. is on a dip, I am just buying S&P futures. And it's been a pretty lucrative trade right now as it's working. There will be a day where it will not work, and I just hope I am smart enough to get out on that day. But right now, every dip in this market is getting bought, and for that reason, I am just gonna, on every dip, buy at least one S&P futures contract. It's something to keep in mind. The market's been very, very relentless, and it could continue to stay that way. The other name is BNGO. I mentioned it last week, BNGO, and it's running up even further. And that's another name. It's pretty close to a breakout, and it's funny because it was a penny stock not too long ago. In December 28th, 2020, I am showing it was 88 cents. It's flipped 10 times since then. I'd mentioned last week as well, it's up $8, but by the looks of things, the tape is looking pretty strong. I think it could be worth a trade here at this point in time. And speaking of which, Tilray, although it's down 10% this week, it's holding, and it's holding strong. And I think it's not off my watch list for the time being. I got a lot of trades in on Tilray alone this week, and I'm going to continue to be trading the name. I think it's a great name for everyone to watch right now with the Democratic Party in control. That, you know, pay attention to the weed names, and the weed name I'm watching, forget the other names I mentioned before, CGC, Kronos, focus on Tilray. There's a lot of price action in that stock, and it's a great one to trade. GameStop is, what the fuck? This can't be right. This fucking can't be right. What? I should just kill myself right now. Well, I mean, GameStop is $65 a share? I stopped looking at it for a long time. I actually sold out of it thinking I made a great profit on it. Whew. Okay, you know what? Let's skip that. I can't even look at this right now. I need more booze. All right. Well, anyway, the other big thing this week is all eyes will be on Chairman Jerome Powell, who is going to be discussing the FOMC meeting. There's talk that he might make some conversation about cutting interest rates or rising interest rates, or that's all bullshit. Jerome Powell is worth $50 million. He ain't cutting interest rates. He wants the printers to go brrr. He is one of the wealthiest people to ever take the chairman of the FOMC. He's probably the wealthiest Federal Reserve banker in history. $50 million net worth, well, more now after the relentless money printing. But I honestly don't really view the Wednesday meeting as a big deal at all. I mean, if the market goes down, it's probably going to get bought back up. Unless Jerome Powell literally comes up and says, we're all fucked, the market is going to do just fine, because the amount of money printing that he has engaged in, I don't know, has stretched valuations beyond control. I wouldn't worry too much about the FOMC meeting. Personally, that's coming out. I know it's a big deal for the markets usually, but I'm not worried here. Let's talk about earnings. These are the ones that I'm focused on this upcoming week. Monday, there really isn't too much going on Monday, but the rest of the week, this is the meat and potatoes of earnings season. If you want to take Monday off, or if you feel like you're going to get exhausted trading 5 days in a row, Monday's the day to take off. Only thing that might be worth trading is Kimberly-Clark, and I'm probably not going to trade that piece of shit. On Tuesday, I recommend J&J, I recommend GE, 3M, Microsoft, and Starbucks. These are all names that are pretty good earnings plays. I'm not going to be doing any earnings season gambling right now, but those are the names I would trade. On a lesser note, American Express or Texas Instruments, but I personally, between all the names I mentioned, the ones I'm watching the most are AMD and Microsoft on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have Boeing, ABT, or Abbott, Apple, Tesla, and Facebook. That is a full freaking roster on Wednesday of great names to trade. On Thursday, we have McDonald's, MasterCard, Visa. I might not trade MasterCard and Visa. I might not even trade McDonald's. These are not the greatest earnings season trades. Believe it or not, the better ones are American Airlines. We have JetBlue. We have American Steel or X, and we have Western Digital Company, WDC. These are actually, they're not as talked about during earnings time, but they're actually better trades on earnings. So AAL, JBLU, X, WDC. And then on Friday, it looks like we have still a relatively light week. Chevron, Cat, and Lilly, and Booz Allen Hamilton. Those are the four names. Friday is not the greatest day. And one other thing, based on whatever we have on earnings earlier in the week, you can probably trade names like Tesla and Apple Thursday and Friday and probably into next week. So depending on the move, I might even, after earnings being a catalyst, just focus on AMD, Microsoft, Tesla, American Airlines, and maybe Apple, Facebook. So, if the earnings later on in the week don't seem that exciting, you honestly can make most of your money still trading AMD even on a day like Friday with earnings being the catalyst. The same names have been steering us pretty good so far: Palantir, Space, Mara. Palantir, I've switched much more to a day trading kind of scenario. I sold all of my long-term holdings a while back on Palantir, but that's okay because I find Palantir to be a very easy and straightforward name to day trade, and I'm actually very comfortable with reading the tape on Palantir. I'm very comfortable reading the tape on Space. There's a lot of good names right now out there. I'm falling asleep. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything for this week. That's pretty much it. Let's see what Jerome Powell has to say. Let's see some of these earnings come out. But other than that, I wish you guys a good trading week and best of luck. Thanks for tuning in.